What is art? How do we describe or define art? The question is difficult to answer due to the wide spread of mediums the term has been used for. At its core, art is communicating. Whether expressing the beauty of a sunset, intense emotions, subtle emotions, or simply just ideas, all art communicates. But how exactly do we feel these emotions? How can an epic music piece make our spirits soar, and a painting make us empathize with a mournful look? What force causes these emotions to stir? In a study done in Montreal, a team of neuroscientists studied 10 subjects after screening 217 people, trying to discover what excites us about music. The subjects were asked to bring their favorite playlist, and they would listen to it while being hooked up to both a fMRI and a PET machine to monitor brain activity. After finding the things found before when studying the brain of music, like the presence of dopamine, the team stumbled upon something that hadn't been found before. In the seconds before a subject's favorite part of a song was played, there was increased activity in the right NCAA, a subregion of the caudate. This is connected to a sensory and motor parts of the brain and is what triggers the stimulus response reaction, such as your mouth watering before your favorite meal. When listening to music, this primal trigger was activated in the wait for a desired set of pitches and resolution. Anticipation is sustained through unique rhythms and chord progressions, change in tempo, and the use of dissonance. Classical composers have used this phenomenon for centuries without knowing the neuroscience behind it. Composers would have an introductory chord and throughout the song use the chord in incomplete forms to keep our brain waiting for the resolution of the chord. Our love of music is created through a physical reaction in the brain, and releases our emotions through doing so. However, this is a more obvious example. Everyone knows sound is vibration, so it just makes sense that they would have an effect on our bodies somehow. But what about paintings? In a study from a Colombian team, a group of neuroscientists and an art historian teamed up for an experiment. Art historian David Friedberg chose a painting called Expulsion from Paradise. The painting depicts a fallen Adam who is warding off a sword-wielding angel while leaving the Garden of Eden. When looking at the painting, you can almost feel the blows Adam is receiving. But why? The team hooked up several subjects to a TMS machine to monitor brain activity. When the subject looked at the painting, due to the light on the right half of the painting and through triangular alignment, the subject's eyes are drawn to the wrist. When the subject laid eyes on the wrist, the machine picked up activity in the primary motor cortex that controlled the subject's wrists. David and the team hypothesized that our brain subtly mimics the forms and expressions we see, allowing us to recall memories and the emotions behind them. While this is for more humanoid figures and paintings, it's not a stretch to say our brain goes through a similar process when processing other artworks. Our brain helps us to relate physically to the painting by mimicking the form and expressions of the painting. Understanding the physiology of how art affects our emotions allows us to better understand what art is. This also helps us understand the more recent question, if video games can be considered an art. Understanding the way art affects us physically allows us to bypass all abstract arguments and debates and jump straight into the concrete. Do video games affect us? In all other art forms, the process by which we feel emotion is learned. In music, the anticipation is a learn, cue, and reward cycle. When looking at a painting, it is based off the memories we already have that are triggered. While video games heavily rely both on sight and sound, resulting in a dependence on those forms, games provide something that no other medium can provide: choice. Games would simply be a movie or a TV show if not for the ability to choose. This choice can be explored in many different ways, whether in exploration through games like Flower and Journey, and quick decision making required in shooters and hack and slash games. When researching the effect of video games on the brain, I found specific areas that video games affect. The areas include the right hippocampus, the cerebellum, and the right prefrontal cortex. The functions of the hippocampus are memory and spatial arrangement. The cerebellum is the learning center of the brain, being more related to motor skills. The right prefrontal cortex is what allows us to make decisions. Now, all of this I knew. Well, sorta. But as I said before, I did do research on this since I'm hoping to become a mechanical engineer and not a neuroscientist. Although most of my research was on different studies I found, I did need to reference Wikipedia from time to time when a part of the brain came up that I didn't know. While on the page for the right prefrontal cortex, I found a reference to a study done on the relation between emotion and moral judgment on the right, also known as the dorsal prefrontal cortex, and they found there was one. Not only were these areas engaged while gaming, prolonged gaming showed to actually strengthen these connections, actually enlarging the brain. Which makes perfect sense when you think about games. Games combine visual art with musical art, all at the hands of a player controlling the game. Whether through inspirational journeys like, Journey, or making lose-lose decisions in the game Red Dead Redemption, whether to kill the last Sasquatch or not. There are many decisions in games, both tactical and emotional. Gaming literally does have a positive effect on our brains for the better. Although we don't directly think about it, these positive effects on our brain is why we even do art. Our emotional clarity and decision-making is improved when we take in the arts. Being able to relate to more artwork strengthens the memories we already have, and music reminds us of our flirtation with the unknown and order. Games are simply adding the ability to choose while combining several art forms, giving players the choice themselves to an experience they want, although a guided one. Which begs the question, if choice is being handed from the game industry to the player, and if creativity and choice is what art is, aren't video games in a way the purest form of art so far? So if you liked today's video, hit that subscribe button and share this video with your friends. Until next time, I don't really know what's supposed to come after that, so yeah.